Kia ora. John Winters, Supermarket Sleuth, talking to you once again from Auckland. Now we're going to start this week by talking about waste and the thousands of tons of food that are wasted in the UK, in Australia and New Zealand. And there are many reasons for that, but there is one particular reason that should not be allowed to happen, and that's best before. Now what do you understand by best before? What does it mean to you? Does it mean that if you've reached that date, that it's no good after that, so you can bin it? Or does it mean that, well, maybe it'll taste a little better than that, but otherwise it's safe to eat? Well, the answer is that best before just means that. It does not mean used by. Used by is an entirely different comment to make and means you can't eat it or drink it, get rid of it. But best before does not mean that. Best before simply means that according to the manufacturer, the flavour, taste or whatever is actually okay until that particular date, and then after that date it's no good. So therefore what you should be doing is using it. If it's okay on that date and after that date, and I've actually put this to the test, and what I've done is I found a pouch of yogurt that was almost 2 weeks beyond the date of best before on the packet. Now it didn't say used by, it simply said best before. So I decided to smell it and try it, and I smelt it, it smelt okay, and I tried it and it was fine, and that was nearly 2 weeks after that date. But the problem with that is it did not have a used by date, and I think this is important. The used by date is without doubt the most important part of the markings on anything you buy. Used by. But best before just means that in the consideration of the manufacturer, it's not so good at that date as it was when it was first made and went out on the shelf. So I would really recommend that you keep on using it after the best before. It won't harm you at all, and by all means try it first, but I think you'll find it's fine. But after that, used by, no, then it's too late. But so many people don't understand best before and they're throwing it away, and that is why that contributes to this mountain of wasted food that we have going into landfill. And think about all the people in the world who are desperate, who are hungry, have nothing to eat, and here's all this food being wasted. So hopefully you will not bin it when you get to the best before date. You'll be able to use it afterwards. Now, what else are we talking about this week? Well, we're starting in the UK, and we're talking about Morrisons. Now this is a new one. Morrisons has become the first British supermarket to own its own trawler. This is after it bought a Cornish seafood firm, while rival supermarkets have been stripping out their fresh fish counters, I should say, and not having fresh fish on sale. But they're going in the other direction at Morrisons and buying a trawler. But actually, why do you buy a trawler? Why not just do a watertight deal with Falfish in Cornwall? After all, it's been supplying the Bradford-based supermarket for 16 years. But the takeover means it'll now supply 80% of Morrisons fish and shellfish. The wholesaler also owns a 30-foot trawler, and that's why that's become part of the acquisition. Rivals Sainsbury's and Tesco have cut back their numbers of fresh fish and food and meat counters, saying this was driven by a change in customer demand. Falfish operates from 2 sites in Redruth and Falmouth Docks. Obviously that's where the fowl part of Falfish comes from. Some 50% of its annual £40 million turnover comes from Morrisons. The supermarket group says the move will help to reinforce its commitment for sustainable seafood and fish. The companies supply high quality fish and shellfish, but they also share our passion for sustainability and for local sourcing, says Morrison's. Now we move to Waitrose. Having just closed many of its large department stores, John Lewis is reportedly planning to take a leaf out of Sainsbury's book by rolling out hundreds of shop-in-shops inside Waitrose stores and launching a smaller format. John Lewis opened its 5th shop-in-shop at the back of Waitrose's Wallingford branch last month, where it sells everything from coffee mugs to cushions. It seems John Lewis Partnership Chair Dame Sharon White now wants most of the 331 Waitrose stores to have a John Lewis implant within the next 12 to 18 months. At the end of last year, the group launched a 5-year turnaround plan which aims to restore profit growth in its John Lewis and Waitrose chains. Having mentioned Sainsbury's, let's see what's been happening over there. Live well for less is a slogan that's been around for a long while, and the supermarket groups decided it's time for it to be retired. So Live Well, Eat Less from late spring is moving to helping everyone eat better. Apparently staff and customers will learn more about this new focus in coming months. The new slogan aims to highlight how delicious food, that's their words, can also be healthy, sustainable and affordable. Now this next piece about Sainsbury's came as a great surprise to me, considering how well supermarkets have been doing during lockdown compared to thousands of other suppliers who've had to shut up shop, literally. It's reported to have contacted suppliers asking for a meeting to discuss lower prices. Says trade publication The Grocer, the supermarket admitted it was in a strong position, their words, following raised demand during the pandemic. On top of this, Sainsbury's says it was working in a difficult market, and it said it needed to be bold to make sure we keep up this positive momentum and grow volumes further, that's their words. In making the contact, Sainsbury's made particular reference to its Food First strategy, launched last November. It said the programme, their words again, reflects a commitment to improving the food offer for our customers in a number of areas, investing in value, improving innovation pace, growing online and convenience channels, and better tailoring our offer to local catchments. And they go on to say they would work together with all suppliers to make things simpler and deliver the Sainsbury's quality customers expect at the lowest prices. Well, if they screw the suppliers down even further, then the suppliers are not going to play ball, because they've got to make money. If they can't make a reasonable profit and put money into product development, then they're not going to play ball. Supermarkets they've got the power, and this is an example of misuse of power. Finally, Sainsbury's is giving more thought to its staff. It's awarding its staff with a 3rd successive bonus for their efforts during the pandemic. Well done, Sainsbury's. I take my hat off to you there, except I'm not wearing one. The payment will be made in May, not only to staff working in its stores, but also to logistics and customer service teams. It'll be based on 3% of an employee's annual pay, so a full-time worker could receive over £500. From this month, the hourly rate of pay for Sainsbury's and Argos store workers will also go up to £9.50, up from £9.30 for a Sainsbury's employee and £9 for an Argos worker. The latest pay rise means that staff have seen their salaries increase 24% over the last 5 years. That's pretty good. Now we turn to some more statistics. And we have statistics being thrown at us all the time at the moment. Latest Kantar figures show take-home grocery sales rose by 12.5% during the 12 weeks to February the 21st, with the Big Four supermarket multiples ahead of the discounters. Sales were even stronger over the past month, increasing by 15.1%, the fastest rate of growth since June 2020. This is put down to curtailed spending in the hospitality sector. Kantar said customers have now eaten an extra 7 billion meals at home since spring 2020, and overall shoppers have spent £15 £15.2 billion more on groceries during the pandemic. Examining the latest month, online grocery sales reached a new record share, accounting for 15.4% of sales, up from 8.7% last year. Ocado boosted its sales by 35.3% over the 12 weeks, with its market share up 0.3 percentage points to 1.7%. Excuse me. Data suggests that the online grocer is increasing in popularity outside of its London heartland, with the greatest sales growth in the South and the Midlands. Tesco had a strong month and grew its market share by 0.2 percentage points to 27.4%, marking the retailer's first gain since December 2016 after its sales rose by 13.2%. The grocer's success was across the business, with online sales, larger supermarkets and smaller convenience outlets all contributing to its robust performance. Now we turn to Iceland. It upheld its strong run, with market share increasing by 0.3 percentage points to 2.5% after its sales surged 23.9%. The size of the average Iceland basket grew by more than half to £19.93 compared with the same time last year. It was the fastest rate of increase among all retailers. Kantar said its fresh and chilled aisles put in a standout performance, supporting the core frozen food lines that make up 39% of its total sales. Morrison's also did well and won market share, taking an extra 0.1 percentage points to reach 10.3% of the market, with sales up by 13.9%. Sainsbury's pushed sales up by 12.1% to hold its share at 15.6%. Returning to double-digit growth, Asda's sales were 10.3% higher compared with a year ago, while Co-op grew sales by 12.6% to maintain a 6% share of the market. Waitrose sales rose by 11.5%. And what about the discounters? Growth slowed at Lidl, only up 10.9% compared to recent months, while Aldi went on with its poor run, with its market share slipping from 7.9% last year to 7.5% after sales increased by only 5.6%. So what's happening there? I would have expected the discounters to be doing well during lockdown, with people being short of money. Is it that the big four customers are turning to their own label there to save money? And why is Aldi doing so badly against Lidl? I shouldn't be at all surprised to see some changes there happening this year. Now, here's some news that doesn't at all surprise me during the present hard times. Oops! A new food chain selling manufacturer's clearance stock says it's moving to a new 100,000 square foot warehouse facility that could support the opening up to 50 stores. It launched in Bolton last November and now has 3 stores with a 4th close to opening. The shops offer around 600 discounted food items, which parent company KPFF, which is a frozen food supplier, buys from large manufacturing sites and then repackages. The products are items like clearance goods resulting from overproduction, packaging errors or minor imperfections. Still safe to eat, much of it would usually go to landfill, probably getting near to its best before date, but it's still perfectly alright. We have 1 or 2 stores in New Zealand that sell goods that are coming near to or past their best before dates. Perfectly good food. The range on offer in the 5,000 square foot stores covers chilled, ambient, fresh and frozen categories and includes brands and own label. Ambient means products on shelves. Oops has previously said it plans to open up to 30 stores this year as it taps into demand from cash-strapped families impacted by the pandemic. Now we turn to suppliers. Burton's Biscuits, makers of brands like Wagon Wheels, I used to love Wagon Wheels, Jammy Dodgers and Maryland Cookies, seems likely to be sold off by Ontario Teachers Pension Plan, known as OTPP, its owners since 2013. A report in trade publication The Grocer said the Canadian fund has hired advisors to run a sale process. Sources quoted in the report suggested Burton's will attract considerable interest, and could be worth upwards of £360 million. Demand for biscuits, which in the past has been rather a dull category, has soared over the last year as people spent more time at home. French private label supplier Biscuit International, Fox's owner Ferrero and McVitie's maker Pladis, along with private equity firms, have been named as possible bidders. And what about Britain's third largest supermarket, Asda, since it now has new owners? A programme of changes and workforce restructuring is underway, designed to align its business to the latest shopping trends. And that means towards online groceries during the pandemic. Asda says its delivery volumes have doubled in recent months to reach levels it's expected to take 9 years to achieve. Just shows you how online is booming. Online capacity is up by 90% since March last year, and there are plans to expand its in-store pick model further by creating 4,000 new roles in its online operations. It's also open to consultation on proposals to overhaul operations in 3 different parts of its business that could affect up to 5,000 jobs. It said that the new owners are considering spinning off the grocer's George fashion and homeware businesses as part of plans to cut costs and overhaul its offer. According to the Times newspaper, George is outside the area of expertise of the Issa brothers and TDR Capital, and they'd be more comfortable licensing the brand or introducing more fashionable partnerships to Asda shops to use excess space. Turning from the UK to look at the world overall, there's more confirmation of people hitting the bottle to drown their sorrows, but what they're drinking contains less alcohol or no alcohol at all. While 2020 was a demanding year for beverage alcohol, consumers' demand for no and low alcohol beer, wine, spirits and ready-to-drink products known as RTDs in New Zealand is still going up. The no-low category gained share within the total beverage alcohol market last year to 3%, and total value is forecast to grow by 31% by 2024, according to the new No and Low Alcohol Strategic Study 2021 from IWSR Drinks Market Analysis. The study examines the no-low space in 10 focus countries: Australia, Brazil, Canada, France, Germany, Japan, South Africa, Spain, the UK and the United States, representing over 75% of global no and low alcohol consumption. Now we head south to Australia and the impact online business is having on retailers except for one. Australian retailers are growing fat on online deliverers. Woolworths grew its supermarket online sales by 92% in the last year alone, and their profits rose to new record levels. Online sales are now the shiny cherry on top of Australian retail, except for Aldi, which still relies on foot traffic. Now this is not unusual for Aldi. In the UK it went on using price mark goods and cashiers ring out the prices on their tills long after the bigger supermarkets had switched to barcodes and scanning. But Aldi shot back at that when competing against checkout operators using barcodes. The Aldi operators used to beat them hands down. Now how can that be possible? It's just because things that go through the tills they see many times, and the barcodes don't always work as well as they might, and so delays happen. The Aldi operators used to remember so many of the prices so they keyed them in as they saw the products approaching them on the conveyor belt. And the more often, like sugar, and don't forget they don't have as much variety in Aldi, so there's just 1 or 2 of each of the products, and they get to know the prices, and so they can whip through very quickly. And they beat checkout operators in competitions where checkout operators did the same products through their tills, and then the Aldi operators did it, and the Aldi operators beat them, which is why they do. And they normally employ checkout operators that got a fairly high IQ, so they can remember a lot more than an average. I'm not saying that checkout operators don't have good IQs, but they just go for those that are, in their opinion, the best. The German discounter is famous for doing things cheaply, like displaying products in the same boxes they're delivered in. It always avoids expensive choices, and online delivery costs money, obviously. Currently, the trade-off to offering online shopping for the grocery sector means costly overhead, said an Aldi spokesperson, explaining why their website has no shopping cart on it. Aldi does not appear to be worried about this. Perhaps it should cast a glance at the UK and notice that it's right at the bottom of the list of achievers. In the UK, they're online and using Deliveroo. In Australia, they're using Trolley, or at least their customers are. Aldi's choices are all around keeping the cost down. They have very small stores by comparison with the other supermarkets. Helpful in the pandemic, for it helps people get in and out faster. Another Aldi money-saving initiative is to mostly open up only from 8:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. Coles and Woolworths have seen shoppers spread out into the early morning and the evening to avoid queues. Not really possible at Aldi. And another cost saving there is if you're only opening for 12 hours, you just have one shift on and you don't have more than that, so that cuts down on the number of employees. It was slow to adopt barcodes. It was even slow to adopt debit and credit cards, preferring cash. It's smart in other ways, though. It likes to employ university graduates as managers and pays them well. But they have no office, and they work on the shop floor all the time and in the normal sort of overalls that the rest of the staff wear as well. And however, being graduates, they're smart and can see ways of improving the shop service without adding costs. And because they work a 12-hour day, as I said, there's only one shift. They also use the same shift for manning checkouts and restocking when the shop's quiet. You in Australia can expect Aldi to go online eventually. Yes, they will. But they may find a new way to do it, a new way that the rest have missed. Yes, it's still possible to miss other opportunities. Whatever they do, it'll initially be a winner until the rest catch up. And believe you me, they will. In Australia, Woolworths has just published its half-yearly results. How had the country's biggest supermarket group been faring? Its total sales growth was up 10.6%, moderating gradually over the half, with second quarter sales growth of 8.3%. In Woolworths supermarkets, store-originated sales, excluding e-commerce sales, which is online, were up 7.2%, with customers continuing to shop less often with bigger baskets. E-commerce sales increased by 92% to 1.8 billion Australian dollars in the half, as it further increased online capacity with sales penetration of 7.7%. Metro food stores continue to be disadvantaged by reduced foot traffic in city and transit locations. Sales declined by 6.7% to 456 million Australian dollars. In New Zealand Food, which is the company that Woolworths Australia also owns, which covers Countdown, Fresh Choice and SuperValu, total sales increased by 4.3% in the half, but growth in the second quarter was muted, only 1.8%, with lower market growth impacted by fewer international tourists. Online sales continue to grow strongly at 47.7%, with penetration at 11.6%. Will the growing attraction of online shopping lead to store closures? That we have got to see, but according to Woolworths CEO Brad Banducci, he says he has no plans to stop opening stores across the country, despite predicting visits to the retailers' websites will soon outstrip those to its physical stores. Banducci says he believes an increase in digital engagement across the company's brands will strengthen its 3,300 strong store network. Digital engagement should lead to store sales, he said. Well, we shall see what happens. I'd still believe that maybe the stores of the future will not be as large, but well, time will tell. Well, that's it for this week, and you can catch me on Supermarket Sleuth on my Facebook page, or check out on my Facebook page, and also on Magic Talk. It's a weekend live program on a Saturday morning, and I'm on at 10:45 p.m. AM. But if you can't lock onto that, then just go to my Supermarket Sleuth page on Facebook, and you can tune in and you can listen later on during the weekend. Okay, that's it for now. Catch up with you next week. Bye.